I am sure sports. You know me there, I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy, 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 boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Good morning, my people, and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I'm your host, my name is Man, and today we have a big one in store for you. We have some very good shows. I hope we are learning a lot of things. The other side of the football, and what I mean by that, what are some of the details of the football, outside of what happens on the field. And yesterday we had Freddie Butler along with Furley Virginius of Guadeloupe. He speaks French, and that's a French name, so it's a little bit hard to pronounce. And that was a very good show in our estimation. We ask you to go and check it out. We did that interview yesterday. It's around an hour and 20 minutes long, so check that out. And today we have a Jamaican-born international football coach. Yes. His name is Lenny Taylor. He has coached the national team of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He has coached the national team of St. Kitts and the Nevis. And he has coached extensively in the United States. Never had the privilege of leading our own national team, but he has made some tremendous marks in the places that he has coached. And he's going to be joining us this morning to talk to us about just the philosophy of football, the culture of football, and what are some of the things we need to implement in terms of principles to get our football moving, should I say, in a positive direction. What are some of those things? So we're going to be having him shortly. We're trying to work out his camera and all of that to make sure that you can see him and then not just hear him. He's actually here, but yes, I think, yeah, man, I'm going to bring him on now, and we are going to talk. I think he's here, so we are going to be speaking to him right now. So hope you're ready, but firstly, let me say a big thank you to the sponsors of this video. The sponsors of this video are Prestige Finance, lending a helping hand when you need it most. You can get a loan from Prestige Finance of up to 100,000 Jamaican dollars. And if you call them and let them know you're calling from I Am Sure Sports, here is what will happen. They will help you. Watch this, awesome. They will help you with the loan. You'll get same day processing, zero, 0 to 4% interest rate, and no processing fee. So give them a call. Yes, give them a call right now and tell them that you heard about them from I Am Sure Sports. Their number is 876-884-7390. Also, we have on board with us Launch Legacy. Yes, Launch Legacy, who will be doing a major financial webinar with us on the 10th of February. That's next week. Yes, next week, Thursday, right? At Launch Legacy, they handle risk and seek legacy, right? All you have to do is call them at 647-989-0782 or visit them at launchlegacy.com. So, for all your personal insurance needs in Canada and the USA, talk to Launch Legacy. They have someone ready and waiting to assist you right now. Don't delay, people. Don't delay. Don't delay. Reach out to Launch Legacy. If you want your money to start working for you as you prepare for retirement, they are the people that you want to be speaking to. All right, I think I've said enough. Again, thanks to all our subscribers, all the persons in the comment section. I'm asking you that once you come on, please hit the like button. Yes, subscribe to the platform if you have not done so yet, and also share the content. We want to thank the persons who work as modifiers. Yeah, they help to control what happens in the comment section. So thank you, moderators. Appreciate your work. So let me invite our guest this morning as he comes to share with us. This is Mr. Lenny Taylor. Uh, yeah, we're not seeing the face. There you go. All right, there you go. It's a little dark. We're not seeing the face clearly, but can you speak so we see if we can hear you?
Okay, well, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear. Your audio
Fantastic.
is good. I don't know if you need a little bit more light.
I'll
Which will
try. Let me try.
yeah, because your background is white, so you need a little bit more light. Yes, people. So get your questions already, and please understand if we take a little while to answer the question, it's not that we are ignoring you. It's just that yeah, sometimes it's it's a little bit difficult to take all the questions and comments. Um, I also want you to know that we have a World Cup qualifier on the 17th. Yes, on the 17th of February, Jamaica has World Cup qualifying games. And you may be saying, what are you talking about? The next set of games are not due until in March. Well, we have a female team that plays against Bermuda on the 17th. And we're just as interested in that campaign as we were in the campaign for the men. And so we will be talking to the senior head coach of the female team on Sunday. That's Vin Blaine. We'll be having him on our platform on Sunday to talk about the preparation. Um, yes. Are you ready, Coach Lenny?
Born that way.
All right. You're born ready. I like that. Well, good morning and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. Welcome to Jamaica virtually, because you're all here in the virtual space. And I must say at I Am Sure Sports that we're absolutely, delighted to have someone of your repute, so accomplished on our platform to pick your brain and to hear from you about your work as a Jamaican across the Caribbean in North America as well, and just to get your views on how you see things here in Jamaica from a footballing perspective. So thank you again for taking the time or making the time to be available for this. We again thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
All right, so let's begin with where it all began for you. I know it says on Wikipedia and all of those stuff that you're Jamaican, but maybe there are many Jamaicans who are here saying, but I've never seen him coach. I've never heard about him in Jamaica. So why don't you share with us?
When you're ready, I'll come out.
Uh, yeah, share with us your origins in the yeah in Jamaica. Where were you from? Where you born? How did you end up leaving Jamaica? All of that fancy stuff.
Okay, good morning. Thanks, Manning Man, to have me on. You have a wonderful show. You are legendary, and you seem to be imparting what's taking place in Jamaica, touching bases with people in the diaspora, and that is wonderful. Um, um, of course, Lenny Taylor is my name. I was born in Darliston, Westmoreland.
I don't believe that. We could be
Yes, sir.
family, you know. My
Well, maybe.
grandparents are from Darliston.
Okay, I'm a Darliston boy. And from Darliston, went to live in a place called Windsor Forest. And I lived in Windsor Forest for a while, went to Darliston Elementary School, went to, then I lived in Windsor Forest. And then from there, I came to Kingston at maybe 11 and a half or 11, 12, somewhere around there, where I went to Trenchtown Elementary School, and then on to spend the first year at Trenchtown Comprehensive. I stayed there for the first year after it opened, and then I migrated to Brooklyn, New York. So
Okay. So you did only 1 year of high school in Jamaica.
just 1 year, yes.
Okay.
And then I went to Brooklyn, which I grew up, I was raised, and that's officially what I call, wherever you're raised, that's where you call home. So, but I'm a Yardie through and through.
Okay. So at what point did you get involved in football, and what was your original uh engagement in football? Was it at the coaching level or was it at the playing level?
No, I went to Brooklyn at about 14 and a half, 15 years old. So when I went to high school, I went to the legendary Boys High School in Brooklyn. And when I went to high school, obviously, you're going through the culture shock. So you have to go through the assimilation process. There was no other sport but football, American football, basketball, and sports that I'm not familiar with. And with my little schoolyard playing back in Jamaica and on the street like every other boy, um, the only sport in the school was soccer that I could play. So I delved into soccer, and I haven't looked back since.
Okay, so you actually played high school soccer in
That's,
in Brooklyn. All right, so you want
that's
to tell
right.
us about your career playing soccer? What was that like? How good were you? What
Was
position you
very
play? How
good.
successful you were?
Yeah, was very good. I just turned all my attention into football. Like I said, there was no other sport that I could play. So it was just football, 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 football. And played for the high school team, did very, very well, the top scorer. And I was given a scholarship to New York City Community College, which is a 2-year college. I played there for 2 years, did well, made All American. And Long Island University, which is also in Brooklyn, offered me a scholarship for the next 2 years of my baccalaureate studies. And then I went on to play for Long Island University. That's a very successful campaign, big team, number 1 in New York State, number 3 or 4 in the country. Big, big, big team. And my senior year, I was captain of the team. And At that time, they had the old NASL, North American Soccer League,
Yes.
and I was drafted into by the New York Cosmos. And at that time, I just decided that, look, this is what I like. This is what I want to do. So on graduation, I just delve into football, and it take me from one stage to the other.
Okay, wonderful. I mean, that's a lot of histories here. I figure that most people don't know. Just want to know if you sent out the link that I sent you, right? That's actually a personal
Yes.
link. That's a personal link for you to enter the studio. It's not for you to share. So
Okay. Well, I have sent it to a couple folks, so I guess they won't get on today.
right. Well, no. What happened is that they have come into the studio, so I'm going to have to remove them. So
Okay.
yeah, right. But the live video is up, so they can go on the channel and see the live video at this
Okay.
point. I don't know
Okay.
if your son your son is still there with you.
Yes.
All right. So
Khalid?
yeah. So let's do this, right? So just send. We're going to send it to your phone right now.
Yes.
Because you're using the iPod, right?
No, I'm on his laptop now. I'm on
All
a
right.
laptop now.
So now I've just sent it to your phone, so he can now take your phone and send the
Yes.
link where they
Yes.
can actually watch it and not
Yes.
use the one that was sent to you. And then we can
Yeah.
pick up the story
Because
from
you're
there.
going to be barraged.
Right, right. All your millions and millions of followers are going to want to come into the studio. We can't afford that right now.
Okay.
The studio
Okay.
would not be able to
Okay.
hold all of them. You're very
Okay. Let me do this for you. Um, uh,
all right. So
okay. I'm ready. I'll just go.
okay, all right. So you finished Long Island University.
Yes.
Did you play in the USL?
No. Just in the North American Soccer League.
In the North American Soccer League. Okay, what
That's
team did you
correct.
play for?
Well, I was drafted by New York Cosmos, and I was there for the first season. And at that time, they were in the process of starting to bring in the top players, the Pelé, the Beckenbauer, the Carlos Alberto. And at that particular time, I thought that with these top players coming in from Europe, South America, all over, the Nishkins, you know, um, and the North American League was moving on to the European and the English players with only 2 American players on the team. It was important to segue. So I segue into going to the United States coaching schools and began a coaching career while playing semi-pro on Sundays and
okay.
studying coaching.
So you started coaching very early.
Yes, at about 23 years old.
Okay, all right. So tell us about now the transition into coaching, what you have completed in terms of your studies and the teams from that point that you coached all the way up to where we are now.
Okay, I think 1973 I went to the United States Soccer School to do my C license, and at that time I was the assistant coach of City University of New York. To the person who encouraged me to go into coaching, his name is Ray Klivecka, and I stayed at that job for about 3 years, City University of New York. And 1975, I got a varsity team of my own. It is called Medgar Evers College, which is part of the City University of New York. And as we know, Medgar Evers was a freedom fighter for Black liberation in America. I stayed at Medgar Evers for 5 years, winning what is called the ECAC, Eastern Collegiate Athletic Conference. And
That was your first championship
that's
as a
my
coach.
first head coaching job, Medgar Evers College.
Okay.
Yeah. But at the same time, between 73 to 75, I went on up the U.S. coaching school ladder to achieve a B license. And while I'm at Medgar Evers College, I received the A license 1978. So I'm one of the first A license coaches in the United States. At that time, the second Black A license coach in the United States.
Wow.
And I'm at the ground floor of the U.S. coaching education, at the ground floor when it just started. So I'm in the business for about 4 decades.
So from the 70s, you had your A license.
Yeah, 1978. In other words, my A number is 137. So I am the 137th coach in the United States to earn an A license.
Wow. So during this time, this is now from like around 73 when you started to 80. Let's go up to that period. Were you did you have anything to do with football in Jamaica? Did you coach in Jamaica, or you were just stationed in the USA at this time?
Never coached a day in my life in Jamaica. But as you mentioned, that I will segue into being the coach of the first Jamaican team who ever returned to Jamaica to play a series of matches with a Jamaican team. That is 1975, when we returned to the island with a team called Tafari United from Brooklyn, New York, to play Santos at the stadium, 1-1, House of Dread, 5-0. And the other one we played Black Lions in Spanish Town.
Yes.
Prison Oval. I think that was a 3-1 game also.
Okay, so you drew with that big Santos team back in the days.
Oh,
The Santos team was
big one that played the Cosmos.
Right,
big one. And
so you brought what the name of your team? Tafari United.
Tafari. Yes.
Who are
Look
some
in
of
the
players?
archives in Jamaica, the first team ever of Jamaican heritage or background to return to Jamaica.
So these were Jamaicans who were living in America,
Brooklyn.
in Brooklyn,
Yes, living
predominantly.
In Brooklyn, yes.
All right, but they never played for Jamaica though.
No, but a few of them were Manning Cup players, past Manning Cup players.
Who are some of these players? Do you remember any of the names?
Yes, Kurt Nedrick, brilliant player. Gallimore from KC, Arthur Gallimore, I think his name was, and Freddie Witter, also from KC, just to name a few.
Okay, awesome. All right, so in 1978 you brought this Tafari United, played Cosmos, Black Lion, and House of Dread, and you won to
Santos, Black Lions, and House of Dread, and that was 1975.
1975. Okay,
right.
But predominantly in these early years, you were you're really stationed in the United States. Now, in your first college, let me get the name again. It's
New York City Community College.
Right, and then Medgar Evers College. Were you able to work with any Jamaican players in these two colleges, or what was it like?
Sure.
What was it like being a black man coaching in that time, when football, when what they call soccer is just emerging in the States, when probably racial tensions and stuff were a little bit higher than they are now? How difficult was that for you, being also of Jamaican heritage?
Right. Well, even in college, it was difficult because at that time, I went to college 1969 to 73. So at that time, it was difficult when you go to certain towns, which are all white towns, and you're a black player on a white team. It was very challenging. So a lot of barriers we had to break down. So we are the forerunners of what the young Jamaicans are doing in the United States now. Um, um, we had to break down all the barriers at Medgar Evers College, which was an all-black college, and
Okay.
being champion like Howard, that type of situation. I could tell you the championship game we played at Farley Dickinson University, Madison in New Jersey, and we had to be escorted out by the state troopers for protection because we were told we'll never leave alive if we win this game today. So yes, we are the forerunners and the ones who have break down a lot of the walls, and that was the struggle in the early years.
So were you in high demand, having won this championship at Medgar Evers? Were you in demand as a coach because now you have an A license, you have won with this college? How in demand were you as a coach, or maybe because again your color, there were not a lot of doors open?
Yeah, we were in demand, but of course there were the ceiling, which you have to break, and we smashed a few of them. You can't break all, but at that time I was now hired by U.S. Soccer, and being one of the forerunners of the United States soccer schools to teach courses throughout New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and to bring the new philosophy of the American football to the masses of people, to train what we call the D, the E, and the F license. So after Medgar Evers, I delved into teaching more courses for the U.S. Soccer, and
Oh,
I can say up until this time, I have trained over 10,000
wow.
U.S. coaches, because we were at the beginning of the U.S. philosophy. So I were one of few, and maybe know one other black person, Lincoln Phillips of Howard University. We were two of the
He's a
people who
Jamaican as
were.
well?
No, he's Trinidadian.
Lincoln Phillips.
Yes.
So
So
you were like 1 and 2 in terms of black coaches to have been
yes,
licensed.
yes.
Whoa.
Lincoln was the first, and I'm the second in the whole United States. I'm not hearing.
You have trained over 10,000
Yes,
American coaches
yes,
since you have been
yes.
training coach.
And being in that position, it was important for me to take the program into the black communities. So in the early days, all the coaches in Brooklyn that had a license was I had to bring the program there to make sure that my folks have access to the program. And so hence we did about 60 or 70, somewhere around there, black coaches in Brooklyn. At that time, having a license is like, it's at the beginning, so it's unheard of.
Okay, so after night, so you stayed at Medgar Evers College up to 1980, and then
That's correct.
from 1981 to 1985, it says that you're at the Florida Youth Soccer Association. You're an instructor there, and at the
Yes.
same time, I think you were leading Lauderdale Lions youth.
Lauderhill Lions.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Right.
leaving Brooklyn, after we 1980, I left Brooklyn. So let me backstep a little bit. Tafari Alliance / Team Jamaica was a program in which was designed to take the guns out of the young brothers' hands and pockets and use sport as a vehicle for higher education, recruit them to become college students, take them out of the gangs, bring some of them into McGregor's College, and some of them are accountants, doctors, lawyers, as we speak, because the violence in Brooklyn was very rough. Hence, Tafari, as a cultural name, was used to pull the young people off the street. And we moved that into social areas, sport areas, and connect them to places that they can better their lives. At the end of that, I decided to move to Florida in 1980, transferred to the Florida Youth Soccer Association from the New York Association on the same auspices of U.S. Soccer. And when I came to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, there wasn't anyone here that was eligible to teach courses. Okay. So hence, all the young coaches, all the coaches in South Florida between 1980 and 92, I'm probably one of the instructor that have taught hundreds of those coaches.
Wow. Fascinating. Fascinating. Whoa. Let me just give you a couple of comments because we're at the half an hour mark.
Yes.
We have Donovan Downer from a national player saying, blessed love to you, Mr. Lenny Taylor. We have Michael Toller as well, says, enough love and respect. Sir Lenny, you're a great ambassador for this country, great history. And then we have Clyde Giardini from out by Harborview saying, big up yourself, my longtime friend, Lenny Taylor. One love, brethren.
Blessings, Giardini.
Yeah, and then Mark
blessings.
Asking about the restoration of Black Lions. All right, so you're out in that Florida area, and you said you're coaching coaches, helping to get them certified, but you're also at the Lauderdale Lions and stuff. Tell us about your time there, some of your accomplishment, some of the coaches that are in the system now that you'd have worked with in terms of them being certified, and some of the players that you have worked with throughout your career.
Well, when I came to Fort Lauderdale, I decided that I wanted to do an experiment. The American player was a runner, a gunner, kick and run, and that was the American philosophy of playing at that point. I decided I wanted to do a program with 95% Anglo-Americans to teach them how to play tiki-taka, which is Brazilian style. And so Lauderdale Lions was a young team of schoolboys, which we taught to play the game properly. And 4 or 5 of those went on to the U.S. national youth teams, Olympic teams, especially one player called Brian Benedict, which is a gifted young man, Mike Ioano, just to name a few, Alvin James, a Jamaican kid. So we worked with that group, and of course, all of them now are lawyers or doctors or very, very, very progressive, wealthy business people or medical people, doctors of internal medicine, etc., etc. So that was the first population, and we tried it, and we found out that the American players could be taught to play the exciting football game rather than the kick and run. So that was an experiment that I had there. And anyone who knows that team can tell you that was one of the most intelligent football And coaches came from colleges all over the United States to get the players because youth soccer was synonymous with Lauderhill Lions and Fort Lauderdale in that period.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, you seem to like working with the Lions because in the 90s, now you started out with, I think, Hyroan Lions.
That's correct.
Right. And then it was during the 90s as well that you were the head coach for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
That's
I think
correct.
from 93 to 96. And the Lions, you were there for 2 years from 1992 to 94. Tell us about those experiences and being in St. Vincent, and how did you help to transform them, and what did you accomplish while coaching, especially in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Well, as you know, 1992, the Caribbean Professional Football League began. This was a dream of Mr. Jack Warner to bring professional football to the Caribbean. I bought a franchise in St. Vincent, and we went down to set up the team.
Oh, you actually bought the franchise?
That's correct.
Oh, whoa.
That's correct. And we felt that was the next step. I knew it would be difficult to be a national coach in the US or break that glass ceiling.
What about Jamaica?
I would answer that I would have been delighted to get a call, but that call never came. So,
but they were aware. But they were aware of you, though.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. So I bought the franchise, went there, operate the program for 2 years, 92, 93. And we did very well in the league, playing against Kingston Lions. And there was another team in Montego Bay. I think Montego Bay Waivers. I think that's what's the name. So we came to Jamaica. We played them in Jamaica. And that league went on 1993. St. Vincent was having some problem with their national program, and they asked me to assist. They hired me as coach, and I brought that club team in as the national program. They were all young kids. We did very, very well. We qualified for the final 8 in the Shell Caribbean Cup, which was played in Jamaica. I played in was at Savla in Sav. We stayed in Sav, and we played the first game against Trinidad at Wembley Field in Montego Bay.
Yes.
And the second 2 games were played at the Frome Complex. We lost to Trinidad, we lost to Martinique, but we beat St. Lucia. And that was the first time in the history of St. Vincent playing in the Shell Cup that they have won a game in the final. They've always made the finals, but they've never won a game.
Whoa.
So
and you were the head coach?
Yes, 93. Now, 94, I went back to Fort Lauderdale, and someone else coached the team. But 95, when I came back for the last year of the Caribbean Professional League, the league folded.
Right. Yes, it ended.
And when it folded, they said, just stay and work with the national team, because it's the club team, it's the national team. I thought that was important to have the continuity of young players playing together from the club, and we segue up into the national team. And 95, it all came together. We played in the Shell. We were undefeated. We never lost a game. And and we're beating teams 6 or 7-0. So we went to the Shell Cup final, which was in Cayman Islands. And again, we beat everybody and get to the semifinal. In the semifinal, Cuba beat Jamaica in Jamaica. So they knocked Jamaica out. And then Cuba came to Cayman for the finals. So the finals was the semifinals.
Semifinals.
Huh?
The semifinals.
The semifinals. So the semifinals were against Cuba and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, Cuba at that point has never lost a game to a Caribbean team in a decade.
Including Jamaica? Cuba, whoa.
Yes, when we beat Cuba, sent them home.
Here. You 1995?
1995. For that decade before, no one has beat Cuba in the Caribbean. No one. Whoa. The records are there. And so Cuba came over because they beat Jamaica at the stadium, and we beat Cuba and qualified for the final against Trinidad and Tobago, which at that point, qualified for the 96 Gold Cup, because at that time, only the first and the second place in the Caribbean can go to the Gold Cup. No other. Okay. We lost to Trinidad and Tobago, 5-0. I think my kids thought that they have accomplished the goal, which was set for them to go to the Gold Cup, and it was a letdown for the final.
Yes. That sounds like what just happened to Mannings in the Doncaster Cup. Got to the final, thought they had reached and got 5. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So that was wonderful. Well, the average age of the team was 22 years old. And the first time a small Caribbean, a small island, or a small country in FIFA ever qualified for a major tournament and was ranked number 90 in the world. Break the 100 mark. That's the first time, and moved the most places on the FIFA list for 1995.
Okay, and then you ended up going to the Gold Cup in 1996.
Gold Cup 96, where that young team got roughed up by Mexico and Guatemala. But just to get there was a shining moment.
Yes.
Now, my captain from that team has now, 2 weeks ago, has been selected as the head coach of Chicago Fire MLS. So
the captain for that St. Vincent and the Grenadines team is now the head coach of the MLS team, Chicago Fire.
That's correct.
Okay, what's his name?
Ezra Hendrickson. Okay, which I brought. He's a Vincentian American that I found and brought back to St. Vincent to play for the national team.
Okay.
On that team also was Rodney Jack, who went on to play at Crew Alexander in England. And there's another young boy who went to Asia. One boy went to Ireland. So 7 or 8 of those players became full-flooded professional player.
Okay, wow. So many interesting things I'm learning and hearing. That's 1996, but I think now in 1997 you came back to the United States and became a regional coach in the U.S.
Selecting players in the southern part of the United States for the U.S. national teams. So I was one of the selectors who work in the 13 southern states in selecting those quality players who have the potential to move on into the U.S. system for the under-17 team, under-20, under-17, under-20 program, and continue teaching the coaching licenses.
Who are some of the best talents you found during that scouting in the southern
Wow.
region
Wow.
for the United
Um,
States?
it'll take me a little while to, because it's numbers.
But any of
But
them
the
made it
boy
to
I tell you
senior
about
team?
called Brian Benedict, he's the Brazilian Pele. I mean, he's the US Pele.
Okay,
Okay. Brian Benedict was the most gifted of all. And he would stand out way ahead of everyone. Injury took him out of the game, but you know, that was the kid.
okay. I know that. I mean, and after that, or probably during that, in the 2000, because you went back to St. Vincent for a year.
Yes. They called me back for the World Cup preliminaries. And of course, we got to the second round where we came to Jamaica and played Jamaica in the office. I think we lose 2-0.
And you were
Wonderful
the,
game.
and you were the coach.
Sure.
I didn't know that you're
Sure.
matched up against the mighty
Sure.
Jamaica.
Absolutely in the office. Packed, packed, packed to the rafters. And it was a wonderful game. Wonderful game. And then we went on and play the rest of the second round. And then we got knocked out. And then I went back to the United States again.
Okay. And then, I mean, you went back to the United States until in 2005 for 3 years. You were the technical
Yes,
director um, in St. Kitts and the Nevis.
that's correct. That's correct. That was a wonderful um, time because with the St. Vincent experience and understanding, and remember now, I'm American trained coach, understand systems, understand programs. So now going into St. Kitts Nevis, I was charged to set up a youth development program, which I would call the long-term development program, and begin the coaching education program, which is the first Caribbean country that had its national coaching scheme. Before CONCACAF began their coaching education, St. Kitts Nevis had their coaching education scheme. And of course, with the experience of working in America, it was very easy to, move the framework of that program, put the Caribbean challenges, in other words, whatever challenges were in the Caribbean that I observed, I engulfed that in that program. And hence, that's why St. Kitts and Nevis rose so fast. And per capita, no one in the Caribbean has more licensed coaches per capita than St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Than St. Kitts and Nevis. In fact, the person who is running probably the biggest, he's the person that runs CONCACAF and FIFA programs in the Caribbean. That's one of my students. His name is Lenny Lake. Lenny Lake. So St. Kitts is very important in the modern development of Caribbean football, especially in the coaching education sector.
Wow. So they were way ahead of Jamaica, where this is started.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to
And that was 2005.
right. All right. So
And I began the under 13 national team, the under 15 national team, the under 17 national team, the under 20 national team, boys and girls, playing and everyone playing from the same philosophy.
okay. All right. So I'm going to take some comments that I see coming in from Mr. Giardini here, probably helping to get us to better understand. And then I'm going to ask you to break down some things for me that you mentioned just a while ago. So the novices to football out there like me, we can have some better understanding. So He says in the first Caribbean Professional League, Jamaica in 1994, called the Caribbean Major League Football (CMLF), had 3 franchises owned by the then GFF president, Mr. Tony James of Mandeville. All right. Then he said Kingston Lions, headed by Horace Reed, Chris Deering, and Howard McIntosh. Cornwall, Cornwall County Lions, with Tony James coordinating all the Western Jamaica teams, I suspect, plus a local club team called Harborview Football Club with Anandi Lowe, Owen Kirkland, Andrew Bauer Hines, and Neil Waggy Stewart, Richard Cook, etc. So that's the same
Yes,
league.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is why I know Mr. Gerardini and I had many nights talking football in the hotels during that time when we are playing matches or going to meetings in Trinidad about the same program. So yes, he's 100% correct.
What is fascinating, right, is we have qualified for a World Cup, as you know, qualified for many youth tournaments as well, World Cups. And we have your wealth of knowledge as a Jamaican, born in Jamaica, right? Always remained in touch with Jamaica. And this was being done in St. Kitts to enhance their football. And we never had it at that time in Jamaica. I think it was after that we started having the certification of our coaches with some level 1 and level 2 qualification. And it doesn't sound like it was widespread. But you mentioned philosophy, systems, programs. What is the difference with philosophy? What are the differences between a program, a system, and a philosophy at the national level, or when you look at international football or nation football?
Well, the program host is the housing that have the philosophy, which philosophy is a general consensus of how we're going to teach and play the game. We're at 13 years old or 12 years old, the player is hearing the same thing they're hearing at 15, at 17, etc. A general consensus of how to teach technique, tactics, systems of play. So learning their positions. What's the role of the number 2? What's the role of the number 10? What's the role of the number 7? So when they move from one age group to the other, you are not teaching the same thing over and over again or having different ideas over and over again. It's consistent throughout the program.
Okay, but within that though, the clubs are allowed to play whatever they want. What I mean by
Yes.
that, say
Yes.
my son is connected to this club and your son is connected to that club. Though there is a
Yes.
philosophy, I mean,
Yes.
when we are going to play a match, I can give them roles and responsibility so that my
Yes.
team can win. That falls out of the parameters of what the philosophy at a national level is. Is that how it works, or I have to subscribe to the national philosophy if I run a club?
Yes. Well, if you want to rapidly succeed, everyone in the country should be on the same page. But the national selection programs that runs through what we call the Center of Excellence, all of those teams should be playing the same type of system. For example, I expound for 4-3-3 system to be taught because it is very easy. The roles and responsibilities are easy because players are divided into 4, 3, and 3. So it's easy. Now, tactically, you can move out of that system and do whatever you want to do. But the general philosophy of all the youth teams I had in St. Kitts, played 4-3-3. So when a boy leaves the under 17 to under 20, and if his role is number 8, he knows his attacking responsibilities, he knows his defensive responsibilities, and how you interact within the defensive third, the middle third, or the attacking third. But we are all on the same page. Now, opponents you play sometimes make you make little tactical changes here or there. But the core of all the teams play the same way, and the coaches approach the training in the same way. Because if John is telling this kid this over here, and when he comes over here, he's hearing something different, you're confusing the player. So there should be consistency across the board.
Within the national setup.
Within the national structure or the national setup, yes.
Yeah. So when you mentioned center of excellence, is that something that is there in St. Kitts? They have a center of excellence that deals with the national age groups all the way up to the senior level?
Well, I look at it as, when I say center of excellence, I'm not talking about the building. I'm talking about the programs that are conducted by all the coaches at the different age group. And I call that the center of excellence. Now, we split the island up and we have different places that the kids go to train, but they're hearing the same, we all singing off the same music sheet. Because what we call that, Manning's man, is accelerated development.
Accelerated
development.
Okay. All right. What I want to ask you now is, how long did it take you to instill this in the culture of St. Kitts?
Okay.
And how important is it to have financial support to be able to accomplish this?
It's not necessary to have large financial support. When I coached in St. Kitts, we had $250,000 a year from FIFA. Okay? Out of that, paid my salary and run the football federation. Yeah? So, it's the will to do what needs to be done. Yeah? So, and I ask people now, when I got in at St. Vincent, there was no FIFA money. In St. Kitts, there were $250,000, and now it's millions. So what's holding back Caribbean development? I'm still trying to figure out what is holding back.
I thought you were going to give us the answer to that.
No, I'm not going to go there.
Because we are trying to figure out what is holding us back. So we need
I'm not going to go there. But it's
you know what is holding it back, but you're just not going to go there. All right.
I'm not going to go there.
All right. Understood. Okay. So how long though did it take you for this to become the culture in St. Vincent, in St. Kitts and Nevis? Sorry.
I got to St. Kitts and Nevis 2005. In 2006, I won the Caribbean Under-20 Championship. First, I said to them, look, count me out if you're trying to qualify for World Cup. Because you cannot build the roof, you cannot build the house from the roof.
Hold on.
You must make a solid...
Hold on. You said to them that they're not going to go to the World Cup.
You're not going to do well. You already know you're not going to do well. So why start the house from the roof to be the senior? Oh, I couldn't stop hearing it. Nobody agreed with me. They says, we got to have the World Cup team. That's our pride. I says, but if you build the house from the top, it's going to crumble. Let's go back to a solid foundation from grassroots into pre-academy, which is into academy, and at 18 or 19-year-old, the boys should be ready. And that's where I laid my cards down. And with good coaching education, and we all singing from the same hymn sheet, it took us 1996. We won the Caribbean under 20, and we won the
1996 or 2006.
sorry, I'm telling you, 2006.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We became champions of the Caribbean under 20. I got there 2005. And we went on to Mexico to play.
How did that go with Jamaica? Did you play against Jamaica in that championship?
Yes. Well, if we were the champions, then I mean, it augurs well that we do extremely well. And if you remember, a few years after, St. Kitts beat Jamaica again in the under 20s. So what I have done, I have given them a program for a decade.
You were the mastermind of St. Kitts and the
Absolutely.
Nevis beating Jamaica.
Well, not really, but I set the program up so that it rolled along, and the under 13s came to the under 17s, and the under 17s went to the under 20, and we kept them together.
You were saying that you went to Mexico.
When we went to Mexico to play against Mexico in 2007 to qualify for the under 20 World Cup, which we missed by 2 points to get to the under 20 World Cup.
Okay.
We lost 2-0 to Mexico and that team was the under 17 World Cup champion, Chicharito.
That Mexico team, right? Yes.
We lost 2-0. Everybody says we were going to get 10. You know, the bookies, the people lost their money. They lost their shirt because this was an easy bet that Mexico is going to kill us. Okay. Then we were leading Costa Rica 4-2, 3-1, and they came back with a minute or so and won that game. So if we had tied that game or won that game, the last game was Jamaica. We tied with Jamaica. So if we had won that Costa Rica game, which we were doing so well in, we would have gone to the World Cup. And that would be not even 2 years that I was in St. Kitts. So it's no rocket science. If you do the things that needs to be done and do them well, dedicated to the cause, have the players buy into the philosophy, have the support, success won't stay away.
I'm here listening to all of these stories. I mean, hearing what happened in St. Kitts, because I remember Jamaica losing to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here wondering why some of these expertise weren't tapped into, because we have such a wealth of knowledge and resources in our diaspora population. I'm wondering why we haven't maximized it. You know, look at someone like you and maximize your wealth of knowledge. And I mean, because I mean, you did it in the United States, you did it in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you did it in St. Kitts. What are the factors that would prevent, you know, a Jamaican from being involved in local football to kind of see some of these principles applied for the development of the sport?
I was never asked. I was never invited. So as a coach, you go wherever you can get a job.
Yeah.
There's nothing more I can say about that.
Yeah. Well, and I know you also work with a lot of Jamaicans who are now in the States, again, coaching and developing
Sure.
persons. I know, like Freddie Butler is one of those that you have worked with. Who are some of the others that you have? Because I know a lot of them tell me that they, you know, when I talk to them, you're one of the persons that they kind of call to bounce things off, to pick your brain and stuff.
Yes.
Tell me some of those coaches.
Well, I tell you, everyone knows me. I am friends with everyone. I'm the trendsetter here. everyone comes and see me doing well here. I open whatever doors I can when they come. Yeah. So it behooves me that I was never able to make a contribution to my born land. That is something that every person in the world takes at heart, because you can never change who you are. But maybe the way I do things were more too American, or I don't know, but I was just never, ever asked to do anything at all. But I motivate a lot of the Jamaican technocrats in the diaspora, because they came, they see my work, and, this guy can do it, I can do it too, So that's a little bit funny, but
Yeah.
I won't go there, because like I don't have the answer, but I still would like to see or make a significant contribution to the development of the youths, because the Jamaican player, the youths, are so talented. They are so talented. But by 18, 19, that goes away. We have to figure out a way how you can keep them through grassroots, which we always had. And everyone's talking about grassroots, grassroots, grassroots. We always had grassroots, because if you remember, when you get your lunchtime at school, you go out and you play poppings, and we always had grassroots. The only difference with grassroots then and grassroots now is you're given balls, maybe some uniforms, and you might play formal game.
Yeah.
Where we lose our kids is in the pre-academy stage, which is 13 to 15. This is where we lose, and that is where football have to be taught. And we lose our kids there. And it's not a Jamaican problem, it's a Caribbean problem. So if we can fix that, I think we can be the leaders in CONCACAF and do great things. But there's not an excuse why a Jamaican team shouldn't go to every under-17 World Cup.
What about the people who say, well, you're in America and they have a whole heap of money to do this and they have a whole heap of money to do that. Jamaica has no money. What about the people who have that? That is their sentiment. There is no money.
That's not accurate. That's not accurate.
You're in the system. Yeah.
It takes money to travel, but it doesn't take money to design a program that has benefits as you go through the development pathway. You must recognize the development pathway. What needs to be taught where, and by what age they're supposed to start maturing, and when they're supposed to be ready. There was someone who was doing some stuff like you, Manning's man, in Fort Lauderdale. It was called thereggaeboys.com. Thereggaeboys.com. In 98, I did an interview there. And where I says, if this process is put in place in the Caribbean, we will be world beaters. Case in point, if you see the transition of Sterling in England and the other young man who now is at
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey.
Yeah.
They were able to get into a system early. And by getting in a system early of learning and development, they are multimillionaires now. And we have so much talent. So much. But we're losing our kids because we're not going through the developmental pathway properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that due to the fact that, between the ages 13 to 15, this is where our kids enter high school, and high school become more about winning than development.
It's a
Is that
hype. Yes.
yeah?
Yes.
Is that a factor when maybe the schools need to be cultured in such a way that is about you know the players football in development more so than the school winning the title? Or I mean, it's not their job. Their job is to give their school the quote unquote hype. Because look at that in terms of America or what they did in St. Kitts. Is it in St. Kitts? Is the high school system geared towards winning our development? In America, what is it about? Or is that the reason why Jamaica struggles in that age group?
Let's take the first question. And you're onto something there. When they get into high school, the hype of the Manning and the Costa, I think, takes away from the development of the players because they're playing to win. You're not playing to develop. So that's your problem. But here's my idea from the outside. I don't have all the answers, but here's my idea. If they could be, if ISA and JFF could work together because they're part of the same organization. And the high school, in Jamaica, you don't have youth clubs like in America. But if the schools could be used as a development for the national programs in the sense of that competition could be geared to development / achieving, I think that would help Jamaica a lot. It is difficult to have good youth clubs because that costs money.
Yeah.
But if you use the school system that has discipline in place, the boys have to be there, or the girls, can't leave them out now. And there is development, like the Pepsi is a development to the Manning Cup team on into under 17s or under 20. If that could be pulled together, I think that could help with the gap which exists, again, not just in Jamaica, in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Let me just ask. I don't know because I mean, you can tell me if this could work because I I would like ISA. I don't think they need to stop what they're doing,
No,
but they could add to what they're doing.
that's
So
correct.
here's I don't know if this could work. Say we had a philosophy like you explained, where there is a coaching of the 4-3-3 as an example. Let's use that, the easy one, the simple one, and then you begin to have incentives like points outside of points. So within the game, you give teams points based. You have persons within the federation who would watch the games, and teams get points to how they implement the system, how many passes they completed, and so your champion or your winners is not just based on scoring the goal and getting 3 points, but you get additional incentives for passes completed, you know, for how the tactical, how you set up tactically defensively throughout the game, how you keep your shape, so that coaches and school, even though you keep the winning factor in place, there are other. Is that something that you have ever seen work? Is that something that could be implemented?
It's practical, yes, because um, the whole game is scoring goals and prevent goals to score from you. That's the game. But like I said, since you do not have the large youth programs, whatever you have to create something that it has benefits for the country in what they're doing. So yes, I'm Manning champion, but okay, we can possess the ball, the philosophy. So then, as I see what is being done now, the Manning Cup and the DeCosta Cup coaches has to have this license, which is a wonderful thing that has started. And I think I laud Jamaican Football Federation for get this coaching education program started, where we just, and we have to, one thing that I've observed that needs to be dealt with, an 18-year-old playing against teams with 15 years old.
No. I'm glad
That we got to find a
no,
way to fix that.
a 19-year-old. Because
Okay.
I think it should be optional. So here's my take. If you have a 15-year-old and you believe he is talented enough, you can get him to play up. What should not happen is your 19-year-olds are playing down.
That's correct. That's correct.
So
You're
my
100% correct.
my younger players can play up. My
That's
older
correct.
players must play up, or at least at their same level. So I
Absolutely.
think if you're 18 and 19, maybe you need to play in the intercol system
That's correct.
against the Michaels and the UTEC to
Yes.
further your development.
Yes.
Because the truth is that kids graduate in fifth form, not
Yes.
lower six and upper six. You have already completed high school at fifth form. So in lower six and upper six, my suggestion is if you're 17 and 16, you can play with the 15-year-old. But when you're 18 and 19, for your own development, like I said, the accelerated development, you have to be playing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
You're
also,
100% right.
let me
And
add to
if
this
we can
because
find a way to fix that, it will help your football.
let me add to this because I oftentimes hear Craig Butler say this, right? A lot of people don't agree with all that he says and all that he does. But he always speaks to the fact that with his players, it's never about winning. In other words, he always emphasizes the fact that he doesn't mind them losing as long as they are doing the right thing. It's because it makes no sense you win a Manning Cup and you can't matriculate into Europe. If you win 4 Manning Cup as a schoolboy footballer and you can't transition into Europe, how beneficial was winning the titles? And I think he always says that at the end of the day, development must take precedence over winning.
He's 100% correct. And early introduction ensures early proficiency. So if you start give them good habits, they're learning the game, they're playing good football, which I call brain-centered football, not the athleticism, brain-centered football. With that, our athleticism, our aggressive culture that we have, our competitive nature, I don't see who could stop us.
Yeah.
I just don't see who could. We are a special breed of people. We are very competitive, but we just need to have the right tools. And as it proves that Bailey and Sterling and the others have achieved this. So I am saying it can just not be 2 or 3 or the ones you can count on your hands. They got to be more. But they have to be nurtured. And you have to have the right program. The program. I'll say that word every day. Program. Create the right environment, because you learn from within an environment which is conducive to development.
Yeah.
So those are some things that the soccer or the football scientists understand. Now we also have to get away from being the star player who's now going to be the coach. We need to get away from that. We need educators. To be a coach, you got to be a smart man.
Our woman.
Our woman. Can't left the queens away. Can't left them out.
Yes. Yeah.
You know? And hey, we've got everything. We just gotta break it all down and build it back up.
Yeah. I'm glad. One of the things I'm glad that he emphasizes, a lot of these changes don't require money. They don't require loads of money. And I'm glad you said that. But Ultimate Butler here is saying that Lenny's so humble. When I was in Europe, he took time out to bring a team over and come to visit me personally to aid with my coaching mentorship. So Freddie Butler giving some credit to you there for helping him while he was in Europe doing his I think his coaching badges. So you are presently,
Big up Freddie Butler.
yes, doing some great work out there in Port St. Lucie.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful work.
Yeah. So your A license. What is your coaching the level? Well, the coaching badge now.
Well, I have a USA license. I have the FA International coaching license, English FA International coaching license. I have a Brazilian license. And I go between Belgium. Belgium, where the brain-centered football development is prevalent. And I will tell you why I love Belgium, because it's all about here. Yes, remember now the feet, this has to tell the feet what to do. In the 94 World Cup, Belgium came to the US for the World Cup final. They didn't do well. I don't remember what they finished. But when they get back to Belgium, whatever money they got from participating in the World Cup, they went and changed everything that they were doing.
Yes.
And developed the brain-centered method, which is an educational way of teaching the game. Why did you do that? What's the reasons? There's got to be a reason why you do everything on the field. And now look where they are. They went back and started over. Now look where they are.
Yeah. I just got a message.
You got to break everything down in Jamaica or the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, you got to break everything down and start over again.
I just got a message from Tyrone Marshall. He said, Lenny Taylor was my first coach.
Yes,
when I arrived in Fort Lauderdale at the age of 14. He said, I played with the men's team, Lauderhill Lions.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's a coach out there in Cincinnati.
He's a major league, he's a MLS coach.
Yes.
Okay.
So do you share your wealth of knowledge with him?
Well, no, I think he's an accomplished now. He's a big boy now and he's doing very well. And I laud his efforts. I don't call him Tyrone, I call him Shane, which his parents call him. And Shane played also in high school for me here in Fort Lauderdale. And the young man has done very, very well. Very humble, very disciplined person, and big respect for what he has achieved in his football in the United States.
Yeah. And some of these guys are doing well, because I know Andy Williams is also over there in Arizona doing.
Yes.
You have Paul Young, out there in Georgia.
Yes.
You have Desmond Gaddafi Simis, and so many. I mean, many more. I can't,
absolutely
all the names, and so that's good to see. But the truth is, all this is saying is that we, as a nation, we have a wealth of knowledge that exists, outside of the shores of Jamaica, and in the same way, we scout and look for players. We also need to honestly look at some of the coaching resources and the football in minds, the great football in minds.
Yes. And there's a lot here, Mannings, man. And these coaches are helping to develop
other players who are
American kids that's gonna come to you and beat you up. Why are we doing that? There's no sense in that. You've got to put these folks together and give them an opportunity to make a positive contribution to your bondland. You have to. That's a must. And if there's anything that I would be saying on this telecast is the people in the places to make the decisions, don't overlook the technocrats in the United States. You do that at your own peril, because these are guys that are training American kids to beat you up.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of sensitivity that I would like to
Listen,
project.
I think so, because I think one of the issues we have, and we're gonna have to I keep saying to people like that we need to be like the Jewish people, right? The Jewish people, they try to seek you out
Absolutely.
to make sure that you are a
Absolutely.
citizen, you remain part of their citizenship,
Absolutely.
and whatever wealth or knowledge you have, it is given back to the nation, the Jewish nation.
That is
think,
correct.
I think with us we are very dismissive
Yes.
of the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that exists
Yes.
out of the shores of
Yes.
Jamaica.
Yes.
And I think it is time, especially
Yes.
from a coaching perspective, where it is needed and
Yes.
necessary that we tap into it to drive
Must.
sports.
Must. Another thing that I'd like to say too is, how many foreigners have you seen Brazil hire as their national coach?
I've never seen them hire.
Okay. So, first, coaching, you have to understand applied psychology. That's like 90% of coaching. Okay? So you have to be a student of psychology. Yes. But you also has to be knowledgeable about who in front of you you're coaching. So you have to know sociology. Hence comes in the sociology of sports. So if you can get this high technical information and you can chat it in a patois style, that means you're sociologically connected with the people that you're coaching, but you're still giving them that advanced first world information.
Yeah.
That becomes naturally beneficial to the kids, the organization, and the country.
Yeah. I mean, that is so important. And I think that is what Rene Simons was able to tap into. Like I said, the sociology and the psychology of the thing. And I think and especially given the context of our country. What I mean by that is a great percentage of our footballers generally come from some of our roughest communities and probably toughest situation. And understanding what you're saying, the sociology and the psychology.
Absolutely.
And how do you speak to this person in opposed to that person?
Absolutely.
Always tell people it is unfair to treat everyone the same way, because psychologically, all of us are different. There's one child that you need to shout at. I don't treat my two sons the same way, because mentally they operate differently.
That is true.
And I'm fair to both of them, though.
Yes.
And being fair to them mean I can't treat them the same way.
That's correct. That's correct.
There's one that I have to tell to turn off the TV.
Yes.
And I don't shout.
Yes.
There's a next one that I need to speak to with some sternness.
Yes.
And raise my tone, and he moves.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that is important.
Yes. Yes.
In, like I said, in coaching. And
yes.
I mean,
very, very important. Very important. You know, you have to know when to hug them and when to kick them. But the one thing they need to know, that you care about them, you love them, and this is the way to take them to the next level. You see, I want to tell this story. I tell it every chance I get. Spent 5 years with Pele, his coach, Professor Julia Mazet, at the Pele schools, international soccer schools, where kids from around the world come to study with us in New York. Pele actually pays his coach, Professor Julia Mazet. And Pele will come in the room and every chair is taken. Well, it happens to me. And I get up out of my chair and I says, Maestro, siéntese. Say, tu maestro, and he sits on the floor next to you and talk. That's the humility which is essential for progress. Then the same man that he pays, Professor Julia Mazet, if Pele's dogging it and he says, come on, Pele, you should see Pele move his butt.
Whoa.
And everybody wants to touch a hem of that guy's garment, but his humility. So someone says, I am a humble guy because I learned from the people who are at top of the ladder, and they're just real people, very humble and caring. And what I did was I made sure I was a sponge for that 5 years, opened my ears, and learned a lot from the professor, who is the man behind Pele. I pick their brains every single second I get, and I take the opportunity to learn. So, and as Pele says, the ball has no beginning or no end. It's infinity. And so is the information surrounding it. So I am always searching and finding a way how to do this better, quicker, faster. So from the womb to the tomb, I'm a student of the game.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. You see, there are two things, right, that I want to add. I mean, one is many times it is information like this, because it doesn't have the aura of excitement. You know, there is no stories of great suffering and great struggle people don't gravitate to. But the information is so profound to the transformation of the game, because in simplicity there's a lot of truth. And I think people will probably hear this interview and say, well, I be education thing, and they move from one extreme to the other, which is for a certain set of people. You know, like I always tell people about the story in the Bible where the spies were sent over to look at the land. Mm-hmm. And when they came back, 10 of them said, listen, in their eyes, we're like grasshoppers. Mm-hmm. That's what they said. They said, in the eyes of the people, we are like grasshoppers. So what they did, they begin to think what the people were visualizing. You don't know that. And so because of that, it made them feel less than they really are. And that's what happens sometimes with information like you're sharing. People hear how you speak and think like, that's not for me, because they think that they are better than me, hear how they're talking, and they never learn. So I'm hoping that in this forum and at this time, people will tap into some of this and will be humble enough to invite you into the footballing space, to tap into this wealth of knowledge. I saw Mr. Giardini on. I hope like even Harborview, because sometimes all it takes is just a seminar. We are in the virtual space. There could be a Zoom seminar where you sit down and speak to some of these coaches who are conditioning our 13 and 15-year-olds.
It's all, the give back is a must. See, Manning's man, this is a multi-billion-dollar business. Why are we at the periphery?
Yeah.
Why are we at the periphery? We have to build millionaires because the business has the money. Now, and if you look in Europe, the best players for me are Africans. So, what are we waiting for to take a piece of the pie? It's more money for everybody if we succeed. So why be mediocre and only a few, 2 or 3 people making money when we could make so much more? Yeah. So those are my questions, and I'm asking, where do we go from here? I have no one to blame. I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but let's ask ourselves the question, why do the same things over and over and get the same results? There has to be another way. We just has to be humble enough to open our eyes, open our hearts, find your people. They're scattered all over, and find who can help. But not necessarily people who wants to coach the national team, this men's national team. It's got to be down in the children, in the kids. That's what you have to go and build. So all the Jamaicans in the diaspora, think about helping Jamaica up to the under 17, under 20 level, get the under 13s. We need to help down there, because you're not just building a player, but you're building a solid human being. I do believe that this big sport of football can help with the problems young people are finding with antisocial behavior. If at an early age they are introduced to the game, they fall in love with the game, we can use that game to help with the antisocial behavior. I believe in that.
Yeah. Awesome. Listen, I know someone is saying, Aiden, and let me just take two comments, and then I'm going to ask you to wrap up, because we're going to do this again, because there's so much, so much more that I need to get into, but we're going to have to do, we don't want to take this one and go 2 hours. We want to go around 1:45, and then so that people can really absorb the information, and then we do some follow-up, right? So 2 things. One, he's saying that Aiden Oriente is saying our fees are still not up to par. You can count the few good ones that ones that are near good. All right, so let me just respond that you can get your thoughts. I think having good fields are important. It is important. But here's what I'll say, that there are other places that has less resources and still get people to optimize and maximize their talent.
Yes.
I think we have to stop focusing on what we don't have,
right,
and use what we have,
yes,
to do our best.
Yes.
I think that's what we have to do.
Yes.
In other words, if the field is a disadvantage, all right, I need to work on the other things. That means I can take time to fix my physical conditioning.
Yes.
I can take time to fix how I operate outside of the football field. Freddie and I were having this conversation last night, and he was talking about just how some players communicate, how the Jamaican players communicate. So there are some things I can, if I can't control the ball properly because of the bumpy field, then listen, my tactical awareness must be good. You understand? How I think about the game must be high, right? Because if the field is going to be my excuse, then I can improve in the other areas. And I think that's how I'd answer that question. Let's stop making excuses and use what we have to do the best that we can.
Yeah.
Right?
100% support.
Yeah. Because there are other Caribbean nations who don't have access to good fields either. And
in Africa also.
Africa.
Yes.
Right? There are places in Europe as well. It's not
Absolutely.
everywhere. I mean, when it's in some places, they don't have any indoor, they can't even play.
Yes. So you're spending 2 to 3 minutes totally on the ball for the whole game, and a lot of other things are taking place. So the biggest problem with a bad field is you being on the ball and it's giving you problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the other things that you need to know and learn when you don't have the ball? So exactly. So let's stop complaining about how bad it is and do the things that are necessary. So when you get on a good field, you're even going to be better. So
exactly. Yeah.
That's my...
So let me ask you this in closing for this one, because we're going to do this again, is what would you say to the youngsters in Jamaica now? The system sometimes, like I said, the programs that are necessary, but are there things that you could say to a youngster that in spite of all the excuses, all that is not here, there are certain things you can do now to still improve and better your game? as an individual, outside of a team context, outside of a proper footballing philosophy and a general culture across the nation. Here are the 5 things. Here are the 3 things. Here are the things that you can do as an individual to improve your quality to becoming a professional footballer.
I will just go with the pillars of the game. First of all, you must be in good physical condition. And that doesn't mean that you have to run the beach every day or you have to run the mountain every day. But you must be in shape. And the best way of being in shape is work with the ball. You don't need to run a whole lot of different laps and up the mountains and back. You can get your fitness with the ball. Your technique should be immaculate so you can control it under any given circumstances. A man, I run up your back and down your chest, but it's still mine. Okay? Understand whenever you fail and you fall, you will rise again as long as you get up and work. Don't let anyone tell you you cannot achieve this. If this is what you want, you work hard, don't lose it mentally, and move forward. Wherever there's obstacle, that should be a more motivation for you to succeed. You got one mouth and 2 ears. That means God wants you to listen more than you talk.
2 times more.
All right. So I think we talk a little bit too much. Stop talking, listen, find someone who can help you with the education of the game, work with it. Success will not stay away as long as you have your priorities, in front of you. I will leave by saying this. There's a guy called Richardson who plays for Everton.
Yeah, Richardson, yes.
Not the greatest technical player, but I just want to talk about the psychology or the mental. I just read a story a few months ago how he tried out all over in Brazil and nobody took him. And he was so down on himself. And he says, I have one more trial to go, but I only have the passage to play to go there. I don't know how I'm getting back home.
Yes.
And that was his last trials he said he's going to do because he was despondent. Make story short, he went there, they signed him, and he's now at Everton, and he's a millionaire.
Yep.
So don't give up if this is what you want.
Whoa. What a way to end this conversation. One of many that we will have. Richarlison. Yeah. He never gave up.
Never gave up.
And you have heard it. Listen, there's one thing that nobody can beat you at. It is your physical conditioning.
That's correct.
Because that is in your control.
That's correct.
Learn the pillars of the game, regardless of how tough your circumstances are. You can learn them.
Yes.
Listen.
Yes. And in closing, I must say, I'm involved in taking young players to Germany now through a connection that I have, a 30-year connection that I have with Thomas Neindorf, the guy who found Owen Hargreaves, brought him to Bayern Munich, then took him on to, then he went on to Man U, played for the English national team. So I'm with that guy now, looking for 15, 16, and 17-year-old players. I think when we have the gifted ones in the Caribbean, we must expose them early. This is not a pitch for players, but the emphasis that if the kid is tremendously talented and there's a route to get him to the higher level, early introduction ensures early proficiency. Look at Sterling and look at Bailey. They got into it early. And by saying that, I know everyone says stuff about Bailey's handler, but he had enough guts and fight to break down the walls of Europe, to get one player from our shores to be a millionaire and to be acceptable in the world of football. And
Yep.
I'm going to laud him for his effort for getting that done.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Craig Butler. Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, I mean, this was such a good conversation, wealth of knowledge and wisdom. I am sure, as the channel is called, that we'll have many more of these conversations. I know you're a busy man, but this wealth of knowledge, I think, if there's a way that on this space we can tap into it to help to increase our education from a footballing perspective, then I mean that benefits all of us. Until there is a more practical way of
Yes.
giving back to this great country that we love, we can
Yes.
share the information we have
It's the
for the
best.
upliftment of the sport.
Yes.
So I want to thank you, um, Mr. Lenny Taylor, for your time. Um,
And
go ahead.
I want to thank you and ask the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to guide and protect you because you're doing a wonderful work.
Yeah, 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 man. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. And again, I don't know. I mean, hearing your story, many Jamaican don't understand the level of accomplishment in football that many Jamaicans have made. And
Yes.
your story is an example. One of the first black persons to have his coaching certification in the United States, number 137.
That's correct.
That means he's a part of the first 137 persons certified in the United States in a time when racial divisions were great. He was able to accomplish this. Coach in St. Kitts and the Nevis, we saw that. We saw the transformation of their football. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we saw that. Coached and qualified, helping the qualification of over 10,000 coaches in the United States. Work with many youth footballers and still opens himself to sharing words of wisdom and knowledge with other Jamaicans out there who need help or direction in coaching. Mr. Lenny Taylor, thank you so much. Be in good health and may you continue to prosper as your soul prosper. All the best to you and your family. We will be in touch. We will talk again and we will talk some more. But thank you so much for your time today. And then I don't know what you want to say to all of Jamaica listening to you now, those home and those abroad. And so you can do that and then we can close out.
Just want to wish everyone down a yard who love the ball, just continue working, continue improving yourself, continue learning daily. Keep your humility. It helps you to learn. Share with the youths. Remember, working with the children, the life that you save may be your own. Use this powerful game to help humanity. Players and coaches in the diaspora, keep making Jamaica proud. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's set a positive example for the people from our born land. And we will eventually get there. Because I know the Jamaican people, when you cut them, it's not blood drop out, it's miniature soccer balls. Thanks again, Mannings, for the opportunity to be able to spend a little time with my people and look forward to doing it sometime in the future.
Yeah, bless you, sir. And same to you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, people, there you go. What can I say? There's nothing for me to add. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Perfectly executed, perfectly said. So let me just end by thanking our sponsors. Prestige Finance, lending a helping hand when you need it most. Call them at 876-884-7390. Tell them that you heard about them from I Am Sure Sports, and they will ensure that you get a loan of up to 100,000 Jamaican dollars. No processing fee, same day processing, 0 to 4% interest rate. Also want to say a big thank you to Launch Legacy. Launch Legacy. Handle risk. Seek legacy for all your personal insurance needs in Canada and the USA. Visit them at launchlegacy.com or call or text 647 989 0782. In fact, Launch Legacy on the 10th, that's next week Thursday, they're going to be hosting a webinar, financial webinar, sharing financial products here in Jamaica and overseas for persons who are concerned about what will happen to you at 70 and 60 and 80 or 50. What happens when you stop playing football, you stop playing cricket, you stop doing track and field? What will your money be able to do for you? They want to help you with that. So we look forward to that happening. I also ask you, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that. Subscribe. Hit the like button, and we're giving you quality content. And all we ask is that you subscribe, you like, and you share the content. Let somebody else know what we are doing here. Again, enjoy the rest of your day. It's always my pleasure spending time with you discussing um, the sport that we so love. For the football and the basketball, the NFL, whatever it is, it's always my pleasure being with you. Have a great day. Until we meet again, just want you to know that on the 17th of February, big things. Jamaica plays Bermuda at the National Stadium in World Cup qualifying on the female side. And so starting Sunday, we're going to be doing a whole lot of stuff on female football. Have a wonderful day, people. Until we meet again. I am Manny's Man, and you have just watched another episode of Coach's Corner on I Am Sure Sports.